Hey, what's up? My name is Emma, aka Midsummerknits Dream, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be vlogging my entire process of me making my most recent top design, which is the Heartless top. There are a couple of pictures of this on my Instagram already, so if you've already seen it, I hope you can pretend to be surprised. I'm not going to include pictures of the finished top in this video until the very end. So if you haven't already seen it on my Instagram, don't go look at it. I promise you the payoff on this video is going to be so much better if you don't know the entire time what the top is going to look like. But I will tell you sort of my general idea for the top, and this is something that I've had in my head for quite a while. I've seen sort of similar shirts online, and I just had this in my head to do as a hand knit top for quite a while. So the idea was to do a top that has a heart cutout right here. So right in this sort of like upper chest area. I am a 25-year-old girl. I like to do slightly risque sort of top designs and like crop tops and all sorts of things like that. So this idea was totally up my alley. So I started on this top idea on January 1st, although I'd had this idea in my head for like many months before that point. And I had wanted to complete this top in time for Valentine's Day. Actually, I think the idea in my head to begin with was to get the pattern released on Valentine's Day, but obviously I was starting the design myself on January 1st, and I'm not like the fastest when it comes to knitting my own designs. I feel like it takes a little bit of trial and error. So by the time I started the design, I knew that that was not going to be realistic, but I was hoping that I could get the top finished in time for Valentine's Day. So within this vlog, you'll see exactly what happens in regards to that, whether I finish it on time or not. But I think this is such a cute idea for a top, and I hope that you guys agree with me. Otherwise, I did forget to vlog a bit of the process of me making the top, so I probably will come back and narrate a little bit of the process just to show you guys the struggles that I went through that I didn't necessarily document very well. I did take pictures of basically every point in my progress, so I do have pictures to show you guys, but I don't necessarily have videos. So without further ado, let's get into the vlog. Hey you guys, so I'm here today vlogging from my phone. Basically I left my camera in my friend's car while they're going skiing. My street isn't currently plowed, so I would have had to lug my giant suitcase across like multiple streets in order to have my camera at home. So I just left it in their car for the day until our street is plowed. And I actually left my current knitting project as well in that suitcase in the car, which is the Groovy tank. But since I'm at home and I have all of my knitting supplies aside from my actual project, I figured I would just start a new project and get some progress done on that while I'm home alone hanging out. And so I'm starting. I'm really excited for this one. I've had this idea for quite a while, but I just haven't had the time to actually sit down and try making it. I did do a quick little swatch of the concept to see how it would look, and I think it looks pretty cool. But yeah, I'm really excited to be working on this. This will also hopefully be a stash busting project because I have this one skein left of the Hazelnut Slyly DK. I use this for the one that I want crop top. I'm not sure if I'm going to need another skein of this depending on how cropped I want this top to be. If I do, then it might not be that much of a stash buster in the end. But I'm really excited for this one. I am just literally starting out casting on. This is going to be hopefully the back of the tank top. I know it looks very tiny, but I do have sort of a vision in mind, and we'll see if this cast on amount works correctly. Did I also mention it is January 1st, so I'm starting off the year on a good note with starting a new project. Super excited to see where it goes. Hey, I'm back. So again, I want to apologize for not doing the best job of vlogging the process of this top. Honestly, we just had a few different people visiting us while I was making this top, and I was a little bit like self-conscious to vlog in front of everyone, and I know that's not the best excuse, but it's the truth. So we started off my top with a lot of experimentation. As you saw in that first clip, the top is constructed from top down, and the sort of top part of this tank top is the part that has the most complexity. So obviously it has the heart cutout. It also has the neck hole and the armholes. So all of those things need sort of finishing details to look complete. And so in my mind, making this top, I thought it would make the most sense to sort of get the bare minimum amount of knitting done for the construction of the top. And then after that point, immediately sort of jump to these finishing details because I wanted to make sure everything fit properly and everything looked good. And if not, then I would just like completely restart the top and make it so that it fits and looks good and sits correctly. So basically I started off by making the neckline of the top. I wanted to make this sort of like a mock neck kind of top where it comes a little bit higher up on your neck. Obviously it has a heart cutout, so I wanted it to have enough sort of coverage on the neck to support that heart cutout and to look good. I started off doing the edging for the neckline very early. In the pattern, I'm probably going to recommend doing this like at the end. I did this folded over neckline that I think looks very elegant. I always love when a pattern has a folded over neckline as opposed to just like a neckline that is knit straight and then bound off. I think that it looks a lot more elegant and more put together. So I did this neckline. It actually didn't work at first and I had to redo it because it was quite literally too tight and would not fit over my head. So I had to redo that bind off method so that it fit properly. After that point, I started on the heart. So as you can see, the heart design is a negative space design. It is a cutout. So I had to bind off stitches and cast on stitches in a way that made sense to make the heart design. I had done a swatch in advance to sort of figure out this design and I thought it looked pretty good. Turned out it did not. It looked a little bit too much like a butt, so I had to redo it. In the pictures, I think you'll see that I'm sort of pulling down the heart, and so it does look like a heart in the photos, but in person when I wasn't pulling down on it, it just didn't look pointy enough, so I had to go ahead and redo it to get it looking more like a heart. At this point, I think the top was looking pretty good. As you can see from all my pictures, there is just like a lot going on. There's a lot of strands of yarn hanging down everywhere because this involves so much like binding off and switching sides and just like moving around on the piece, so there's a lot of strands of yarn hanging down. Also, all of the edges were curling because, like I mentioned, all of the finishing details on the top are done like after the fact. So I was definitely struggling, not really knowing how everything looked together until the point where I finally was able to connect the front and back under the armpits, and then was able to finally finish all of that detailing and make sure that the top looked how I wanted it to. Again, I know I ran into a bunch of troubles with this top, but I just want to sort of like expose to you guys that although you see this like perfect finished design, you don't see all the struggles that went into creating it. So I think at this point I did a pretty good job of vlogging the rest of the top, so I'm gonna go ahead and pass back over to my vlog self and you can see the rest of what I did. I'm so excited for you guys to see the finished version of this top, so please keep watching so you can see the final reveal. It is almost the end of January and I'm at a pretty good place with the heart top. So as you can see, I have completed the entire sort of like bust or yoke area of this tank top. I don't know if they call it a yoke when you're making your tank top, but I've completed like the entire top section and I've actually joined in the round underneath the armpits already, so that's pretty exciting. I'm actually quite happy with how it looks so far. The only thing that I'm thinking about changing that I've done so far is that I'm thinking about redoing this I-cord and adding like a very thin wire into it just to help it stay in place and stay shaped even when you're wearing it. It definitely does tend to flop around a little bit when I'm wearing it and doesn't look good all the time. So I think just doing like a thin wire or even just like a pipe cleaner, something that has a little bit of rigidity, and putting it inside that I-cord would really help to keep it in place and keep it looking good most of the time. And aside from that, I'm currently experimenting a little bit with the edging on the armholes. So as you can see, the armholes are just knit in stockinette stitch. They don't have like any sort of edging stitch, so they are curling up. And I did that because I'm planning to add an edging on as well. So one option is that I could do another 1x1 folded over rib brim like I did on the neckline. I don't want it to look too bulky though, so I'm experimenting with something else, which is just a sort of like double knitted edging. This is the same technique that you would use for a button band, and I think this would just give it a nice edging that would be not too bulky on the armpits, but would also keep it flat. So it actually is a little bit frustrating because it takes quite a while to do this technique, but I think that this is going to be the technique that I go with because I think it just looks a lot nicer versus doing another folded over little hem on the sleeves. One last progress update that I wanted to give is that I am running out of yarn. So I had this single skein of Hazelnut's Lively DK left over from when I made the one that I want crop, which also took a skein of yarn, but that one has a much lower neckline, so I feel like that's the reason I was able to squeeze it out of a single skein. And if I just wanted to do like a super cropped, almost like more of a bralette, then I could definitely get it out of a single skein for this one. But because it has this higher neck, even though it has like the heart cut out on the front, I think it's just going to take a little bit more yarn. So I did order more of this yarn from Hazelnut's website, but I don't know if it's gonna come on time before I leave for my trip to Japan, which I'm leaving in a few days. I actually wanted to finish it in time for Valentine's Day just to get pictures for then, but I am not sure if that's going to happen, depending on if I get that yarn or not. So fingers crossed, knock on wood for me. I'm really hoping that I can make it, but we will see. Okay, I was struggling pretty hard to get some clips of how this armhole edging looks. So I set up my camera on a tripod to finally get some clips of it. I think the armhole looks pretty good. It is still a tiny bit loose, which I am thinking maybe when you do that armhole edging, you should do fewer stitches. So I picked up 4 out of every 5 stitches, but I think maybe I should have done like 3 out of every 4 just to have it a little bit tighter and to sort of like pull that armhole in. I am not gonna redo this one because honestly it took me forever and I don't really want to. I'm thinking for the other one, maybe I should try and do 3 out of every 4 stitches and see how that goes. Honestly, I think it'll be okay. It's just like the tiniest bit loose. And overall, I think it looks pretty good. The heart, as I mentioned, I think could benefit from a little bit more structure. And overall, I'm feeling pretty good. So today I did totally frog like this under the arm bit and redid the back with fewer inches of length and then totally redid this armhole edging. So I got a lot of stuff done today and I think I'm on a better track now because now I figured out the armhole edging for the most part. I can go ahead and do the other one and then at that point we're just gonna be knitting down. So knock on wood that it's gonna be a lot more straightforward from this point on, but I am really excited with how this is coming out. Hi friends, it is February 12th. I just got back from a week-long trip to Japan, which was so much fun. I went to Sapporo for the snow festival that was going on this time of year. And of course, obviously got a ton of amazing food and it was just such a fun time. I did not really film much content for YouTube or knit much during that time. So in regards to my heart top, I did not bring it with me to Japan. I thought that it would be a little bit too stressful of a project to work on while I was in Japan, just given the fact that I'd have to be trying it on a lot, reevaluating if I wanted to frog or if I wanted to continue or if I wanted to change things. I just thought it would be a little bit too complicated. Now looking back, I kind of wish that I had brought it actually because I feel like I'm just getting to the part of the project that's a little bit simpler and a little bit more mindless, and fingers crossed I won't have to make any more difficult decisions. But all in all, it's okay. I'm still trying to finish the project for Valentine's Day, which is in a couple of days, just so I can get pictures by then. If not, I think I can get some good work in progress photos as well, and I think that will be totally fine too. But I did think it'd be cool to do like a cool little reveal for Valentine's Day, so we'll see if I can make that deadline. But I do have some little updates for you guys. So yesterday I got back from Japan after a very long 24-hour travel day. And today I decided it was time to jump back into this project and really get some work done on it. I've been thinking about it basically my entire trip, just like how I'm going to get it done in time for Valentine's Day. And I'm hoping that today I'll have a good chunk of hours to work on it and get some work done. It's already late afternoon, but I did get some supplies. So first off, I ordered another skein of the yarn that I'm using since I'm almost out of my first skein. I'm not even at the length I would need for like a bralette or a very, very crop top, so I definitely needed another skein. This is a really gorgeous yarn. I love it so much. I do think it's probably not the best yarn that I could have used for a tank top because it is just a tad bit itchy for something that you're going to be wearing really, really close to your skin. I also went to the hardware store and got some wire. I actually think I need to ask on Instagram if anyone has knit a project using wire, and if so, like any cautions that they have, any notes that were in the pattern, etc. Just because I haven't used wire in a project in this capacity, I'm not sure how it could affect things. For example, if I could put this through the washer, if that would cause any issues, or if there are like any tips to avoid having the wire sticking out and poking me. So I am going to need to redo the I-cord for the heart part so I can actually put this wire in. But otherwise, we are basically done with the top part of the tank top, which is like the most complicated part. But here is where we're at. As you can see, I finished most recently the double knit part of the armholes, and I think that looks really good. I'm really hoping to have this done in time for Valentine's Day, or at least get a nice work in progress photo where you can see the finished details, and I'm very excited about it. So I've been working on my heart top pretty much all night, aside from going grocery shopping, and as you can see, I did not really film the process of me adding the wire to the I-cord too much, because honestly it was like a little bit stressful. So basically I had to knit the I-cord edging around the wire, and it's definitely doable. I think if I put out a pattern for this, I'll film a little tutorial sort of explaining how I did it and little tips that I have. But it was a little bit tricky, like it's just not the most fun part of the knitting. But as you can see, I'm getting to the very end. So this is where I started it. I had a provisional cast on, and this is where I'm going to end it. And then we'll join these two together. And as you can see, there's this bit of wire here, and this is actually where I cut off the wire. So I sort of join these two pieces together. And I really am actually quite happy with how the wire came out. It adds so much structure to the heart and just makes it look more like a heart versus before it was just like gaping very widely. It looked kind of like a butt and just didn't look that great. And I think so far, at least, I haven't really checked on this like final edge, but so far it looks really, really good. It adds a lot more structure, it makes it look like a real heart. And I don't think it really takes away from the shirt being comfortable or easy to wear. My only slight concern is that this last bit is going to be a little bit pokey, but my boyfriend helps me to sort of like twist the wire back on itself so that we think it won't be too pokey and like won't cause any discomfort. For now, I think I'm just going to go ahead and finish up this heart and then weave in some ends. Hey, so it's midnight, technically on Valentine's Day, February 14th, just because, like I mentioned, I really wanted to get good pictures of this for Valentine's Day. Check this out. I'm literally screaming at how it looks right now. It looks so good. Obviously, I'm going to knit this a lot longer for myself. I don't really like tops that are like this cropped. This is basically like a bralette for me, but I'm literally screaming at how good it looks. I added in the wire, and as you can see, it looks so structured and good. The double knit armholes look really good, really seamless. You can't even really see that they're there. It has a nice 1x1 rib around the neck. And then at the bottom, I'm planning to just do a sewn hem, which I think will be like a very neat finish. It will kind of go with the double knit armholes, just so that's not like super visible. I'm so excited with how it's looking. I'm really, really excited to go take pictures tomorrow. And yeah, feeling good. So I ended up finishing this top on February 28th, about exactly 2 months after I started it on January 1st, which I found to be a little fitting. But I'm super excited to show you guys the finished object, so drum roll please. So here's the finished object. I'm gonna go ahead and put it on for you guys so you can see it in person. So let's see if I can do a little, did it work? If not, then we'll just ignore the fact that I did that because that was embarrassing. So here's the finished heart top. As you guys can see, it came out so great. I absolutely love all of the detailing. It has this nice hemmed edge at the bottom. I really wanted the entire top to be like kind of smooth and have these like really gorgeous finishing details. So I ended up going for a hem on the bottom, which I'm so happy with. I am so happy that I ended up putting wire in the heart. It just makes it sit so much nicer and look so much better. It just looks so perfect, and a lot of people have commented that on my Instagram photos and everything. They've been like, oh, the heart looks so perfect. Like, how did you do that? I'm so happy with how this came out. I'm also so obsessed with how those photos came out. So I was inspired by Mrs. Moon in Heaven, or Jada on Instagram. She did an actual photo shoot with a photographer with this gorgeous pink background, and I just thought it was so cool. So I went ahead and bought a backdrop from Amazon. I will link the backdrop below if you're interested. Basically, it's just like a big piece of cloth that you can like tape up or put up behind you. I quite literally taped it up with duct tape in my kitchen to take photos, so like not really the fanciest setup, but I think your photos will come out really cool and professional looking, and so to me it was worth it. I'm probably gonna use this backdrop for more photo shoots in the future as well. And I also chose this pink backdrop, but because your girl is a little bit of a photoshopping wizard, I might try photoshopping it in the future to be different colored backgrounds for different knits. I will link the backdrop that I used from Amazon down below if anyone is interested in using it as well. I think it just really helps to get these really cool, sort of professional looking photos, and I'm really happy with how they came out. So I'm sure everyone is curious about one thing, which is when the pattern is coming out. So as you guys know, I am not the fastest at writing patterns because I'm still trying to get sort of details finalized for grading the groovy tank, which I literally made like a year ago. For the heartless top, I am really going to try and make this one a bit of a faster process. I think it will be a lot easier to grade because it's just like a bit more of a straightforward design versus the groovy tank. But with that being said, I might take like a week off from YouTube to work on this design, so I will post and let you guys know if I do that. But since I just recently finished my own top, I'm gonna go ahead and get this pattern written up and then work on grading it and getting it tech edited, etc. So both this top and the groovy tank, I'm hoping to have out for this summer, so you can knit yourself your own version of these tops for summer. One more thing is I saw someone comment on their Instagram that they want to make this top to wear at the Taylor Swift concert, so I really am gonna try and get this pattern out as soon as I can because I would literally die if someone else did that. I think I'm going to wear this specific top to opening night for Eras Tour, so I'm super excited for that. That's literally next weekend, but I would love if I could see other people wear their version of this top to Eras Tour as well. I would literally die if that happened. So I am super excited for that, and I'm going to try my best to get this pattern out as soon as I can. That is it for my vlog of making the heartless top. I hope you guys enjoyed watching my chaotic little designing process, and if you are interested in making this top, like I said, I'm going to try my best to get the pattern out as soon as I possibly can. If you're interested in either test knitting or just knowing when the design is released, I will let my email list know first whenever I open up the call for test knitting, as well as when the pattern is released and all of that stuff. So if you want to be up to date with pattern releases and test knitting calls, I will link my newsletter link down below, and you can just go ahead and enter your email there so you'll be notified first. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.